First date red flags. Okay, everyone. These are red flags to look out for when you go on a first date. This applies for both men and women, all right? So without further ado, let me get into this. These are some things that you should be aware of and know about when you go on a first date. Okay, one of the first things is too much cell phone use, all right? Somebody who's texting a lot, they're on their social media, Facebook, Twitter page, doing that type of stuff on their cell phone. That is a big sign of little to no interest in you and your time, as well as it's very disrespectful. You know, when I go on a first date or a second, third date, whatever, I mute my cell phone, and if it's not something that's an emergency, it can wait. So that's a big sign and a red flag to look out for when you're on a first date. All right. Another one is someone who talks about their ex or their past relationships a lot or brings it up quite often on the first date. That's a big sign that their feelings are with their ex, or their feelings are still in their past relationship, and they're not going to be able to develop a good relationship or, in a friendship with you. So that's a bad sign on a first date. Now, if it's a mutual conversation and it's brought up and you two talk about it a little bit, okay, that's acceptable. But someone who continues to talk about their ex or past relationship a lot, that's a big red flag. All right, here's another one. Asking for money is a huge red flag, all right? It's a sign that they don't care about you and they want this. Let me put it here so you can see it. They're about the cashola. Also, it's a way of testing you to see what you'll do for them. They're doing this as testing you. And another thing with someone who asks you for money on a first date, it's a very bad sign in things to come. Okay? So that's why this is a red flag. If they're already going to hit me up for $20 or $30 on the first date, what's going to happen the second or third date and as we get to know each other? So that's a big red flag, someone who asks you for money. Now, there's exceptions for everything. You go on a date and let's say your date shows up and says, hey, I didn't bring any cash with me and I just parked in the parking structure and I need $5 cash to pay. There are some exceptions, but it's usually, to me, the exception is a very small amount of money and they let you know what the situation is. In general, asking for money on a first date, a big, big red flag. Okay, I got a few more here. Another one, someone who shows up late for the first date is not too concerned about you and your time. That's a big red flag. Now, an exception would be if they're running late for traffic and they send you a text message, or they come in 10 minutes late and say, hey, the freeway was shut down, I had to take a side route. Well, I get that. But someone who comes in 20 minutes, a half hour late and just doesn't apologize much about it, it's a big red flag. So that's something to consider, someone who shows up late on a first date. Okay, here's another one. Somebody who gets too personal too fast. The conversation is very personal things about them. You're not a social worker. You're not here to help them through all of their life's problems from the past and to come. Bringing up a few personal things is fine on a first date, but too much, too soon, that's a red flag. And similar to this is too many questions about you, okay? Someone else just constantly question after you. I get that. Some questions ain't bad. They want to know a little bit about you. You want to know a little bit about them. But too many questions is a red flag. The conversation should be good, enjoyable conversation, not a job interview per se. So that's a big red flag when the other person on your first date is just constantly questions about you, question after question after question, and there's no good general conversation. That's a red flag. All right, here's another one and I've experienced this once years back on a first date, is someone who shows up and they're moody. Not necessarily they're mad at you, all right? Here's what I'm about to explain. They're upset about something work related or with their kids or with their bills, and they bring that on a first date and it becomes a primary conversation, all right? And you could tell it he or she's in the bad mood. That's a big red flag, and it's also a bad sign of things to come if you continue to date this other person. So if someone has had something bad just happen recently at work, or let's say with their kids, for example, they need to put that on the back burner and enjoy the conversation and the time with you, especially on a first date, okay? Two more to be aware of. Here's another one, all right? Talking about politics, religion, unless it is a mutual conversation, all right? That's a big red flag. It's just, it's inappropriate on a first date. There's so many more things that the conversation can be, and enjoying each other's company, and somebody who rails you with the politics or religion, as well as sometimes that's a test. You know, they ask you a lot of questions about being a Christian, or, you know, questions dealing with being liberal or conservative. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to be with you unless you share these same values and everything with me. So in general, on a first date, we're talking, the other individual, as well as yourself, should stay away from the politics and religion, all right? Lastly, is someone who calls off at the last minute on a date, all right, for your first date. Your first date's coming and someone calls off at the last minute. Now, the one exception would be, which I'd understand, is if it's an emergency. Hey, you know, they call 2 hours before you guys are about to meet, and they say, you know, my uncle's just been rushed to the emergency room, such and such. I'm heading over to the hospital. Can we please do another time? Hey, nothing wrong with that. I completely understand. However, in general, someone who calls off at the last minute before your date, big red flag, especially on a first date. Okay, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Ange TV show. He did a video log talking about one of his past first dates, and this is where I got the idea from. I'll put the link below the video for the Ange TV show YouTube channel. Check it out. He does a lot of small YouTube support, live videos, good advice. And I would like to especially thank all my subscribers, everybody who watches my videos, drops those likes and comments. Believe me, I do appreciate it. So until my next video, stay safe and enjoy life.